After dropping off Dave last night, Rohan didn't go back home. Instead, he kept driving around on the empty streets of Delhi until 3 a.m. and then impulsively drove towards Dave's house and parked his car in the alleyway next to his house. He let out a huge sigh and put his head on the steering wheel. Rohan closed his eyes and thought about his confession earlier. He didn't mean to upset Dave. He didn't mean to make him uncomfortable. It's just that for the past however many days, there is a storm building up inside him. Dave has taken up every little corner of his mind and all he can think about is him. No other woman or man has ever had an effect like this on him. Rohan has never ever thought about having a long-term relationship with someone. But with Dave, he often thinks about how they would tell each other's parents, how they will fight for their love, how he will protect Dave from his vicious dad, and how, no matter what, he will never leave his side. Rohan chuckles, thinking that he has everything planned out except for how to convince the person he likes so much to like him back. When Rohan opened his eyes, it was already 6 a.m. He saw Dave's mother coming out of their front door with a worship plate full of incense sticks and fresh flowers. She goes into the veranda and starts her morning prayers around the holy basil plant. The sky was still dark, the city was slowly waking up, and the birds were chirping in the distance. Rohan decided not to go back home and instead goes directly to the university. Dave quietly follows Rohan as he walks towards the student parking. He raises his head to look at Rohan when he didn't turn towards the cafeteria, but decided not to ask anything to him. Dave is still struggling to make sense of his contradictory feelings and doesn't know how to face Rohan or speak to him. "Get in the car," Rohan says softly as he goes to sit in the driver's seat of his car. Dave sits in the passenger seat and says, "Where are we going?" "Home." "What? I don't want to go there. I don't want anyone to see me with you. My dad is going to be there," Dave says in a panicked voice as he tries to unlock the seatbelt, but Rohan lays his hand on top of Dave's to stop him from unbuckling the seatbelt. "Don't argue with me right now." Dave looks at Rohan, but Rohan doesn't look at him. He starts the engine and reverses the car to take it out of the parking, but his other hand is still on Dave's hand, which is holding the seatbelt. Dave doesn't pull his hand out or say anything to Rohan. The drive to Rohan's house is silent. Neither Rohan says anything nor Dave. Dave closes his eyes as he feels himself relaxing in Rohan's presence, and his anxious mind finally seems to calm down as he drifts off to sleep. Rohan pushes Dave's car seat back in order to let him rest, and after 20 minutes they reach the house. Rohan gently strokes Dave's face to wake him up. Dave immediately opens his eyes. "We are here, follow me." When Dave gets inside, he notices that the house is empty. Rohan goes into the kitchen on the ground floor to see if the housekeeper is in. But seeing nobody in the kitchen, he walks upstairs to his bedroom and Dave quietly follows him. When they get into the room, Rohan sits on the bed and gestures for Dave to take a seat. Dave walks over to the 3-seater sofa in the room and removes his bag. He puts it on the floor before sitting on the sofa. Rohan takes out his phone and calls the housekeeper. He asks her to make breakfast for 2 people and bring it over to his room. "Make yourself comfortable. I need to take a shower. I'll be back in 10 minutes and then we'll talk." "Did you not shower in the morning?" "No." "Why not? What time did you reach home last night? Were you too tired to shower in the morning?" Rohan lets out a low chuckle thinking about how adorable Dave looks right now. His pouty and sleepy face, his scrutinizing eyes, the way he always retreats into his little shell when Rohan gets flirty and expresses his feelings for him, but he gets all perked up and talkative at random mundane moments. Rohan really wanted to scoop him up and take him in his arms, kissing his little frown lines, letting him feel that he doesn't have to be afraid of anything when he's with him. "You are killing me right now, you know that?" Rohan gently ruffles Dave's hair and walks into the bathroom for a shower. "What?" Dave says with a confused expression on his face. He takes in a deep breath and remembers the last time he was in this room. The anger he felt at the time seemed to take everything out of him. He wanted to punch and punch Rohan's face until he was able to remove that smug and arrogant smile off his face. He remembers Rohan's mother giving him the gold Ganesha as if to mock him and show him how much power their family holds over his dad. The sheer difference between their worlds, and then Rohan making that move on him, made him outraged to the point of madness. But today is strikingly different from that day. Every single time Dev meets Rohan, he sees a different side of him. And infuriatingly enough, however hard he tries, he's not able to hate any part of him. In fact, it's totally the opposite. Completely opposite. Dev walks around Rohan's palatial room. Everything looked spick and span as if it was just cleaned by a professional. The room itself was quite plain and minimalistic. In terms of furniture, there was just a big bed, a gaming setup, a sofa and some beanbags. The room seemed surprisingly dull for a musician, not to mention the lack of musical instruments in the room. Dave is quite astonished to see that there is not even a single guitar in the room. He has never seen Rohan without a guitar in his hand at the university. He is always humming and playing with the guitar strings, no matter the place or the time. Dave goes back to sit on the sofa. He opens his backpack and takes out his urban planning course notebook. He starts flipping through the pages, and after a few minutes of struggling to read, he quits fighting his heavy eyelids and closes them, promising to open them back in a few minutes. When Rohan comes back out of the shower, he sees that Dave's notebook has fallen on the floor and he's sleeping with his head resting on the back of the sofa. Rohan gently changes Dave's position and pulls up his legs to let him lie down on the sofa. He puts the cushion under his head and covers him with a soft blanket. Rohan goes into his dressing room to get dressed. He puts on a loose pair of black joggers and a grey Nirvana t-shirt. He then walks downstairs to tell the housekeeper not to bring over the breakfast now and to wait for him to call her. He comes back upstairs and climbs into his bed, taking out his music notebook from his backpack. Rohan flips open the page where a half-written song is, and looking at Dave, he feels a surge of inspiration to continue the lyrics. Rohan works on the song for a few hours, continually looking at Dave, who was sleeping on the sofa in front of him. It was noon when Dave finally opens his eyes. He immediately sprang up, realizing that he's still in Rohan's room. He checks the time. "I slept for 3 hours. "Yes, you did. Do you feel better now?" Rohan said, smiling at Dave. "Yes, I do. Thank you. I think I should leave now. I have a class in the afternoon." "What time is it?" "At 4. "You still have a lot of time. Have some food here and let's talk." Rohan rings the housekeeper and asks her to bring them lunch since it was already noon. "What is there to talk about?" Dave says, putting his notebook in his bag. "I know that you are really bothered by what I said yesterday. It wasn't my intention to make you feel distressed. This is probably the first time I have ever felt like that about someone, so I don't know how to navigate this new feeling. I don't know what to do or what to say or how to say it." Dave feels shaken by Rohan's earnest voice. His immediate reaction is to put his walls up and defend his heart from getting moved by Rohan's words and his charming face. "I wasn't distressed by anything that you said yesterday. Your words didn't affect me at all. I also know that you say these exact words to every other girl you casually date. You and I are worlds apart. We are two parallel lines that cannot meet. I will not be used as a toy for you to experiment your sexuality with. I am not another one of your servants who will follow your commands." Dave said, feeling himself getting irrationally angry and immediately regretting everything he just said. But he couldn't stop, couldn't help but defend his heart from being taken away by Rohan. "Wow, you really know how to hurt someone, don't you?" Rohan looks at Dave with a heavy heart, his eyes reflecting the sadness he felt inside. Dave gets up from the sofa and walks towards the door to leave. "So this is your answer?" "What?" Dave stops and looks at Rohan. "You said so many things, but you didn't say that you were rejecting me. So what is your answer? Just say that you don't like me back and I will never bring this up ever again." Dave tries to put on a brave face, but his misty eyes were a clear indication of his inner turmoil. "I don't like you back." Dave walks out of his room with heavy steps and leaves the house as fast as his legs allowed. Hi guys, so this was chapter 8. I really want to know how you feel about this chapter, so please let me know in the comments below. And as most of you know, I'm taking a month-long break, so this novel will go on hiatus for a month. I will be back in May and I hope we can continue from where we left off. Please remember Rohan and Dev, and I hope they can meet you again soon. Bye.